In this tutorial video, we will explain how to use the SolarCleano robot in the right way. The first step concerns the safety of the operator. Here is Paul. To work safely, Paul will need to wear his helmet, the equipment required to hang on to a lifeline if present, protective gloves and safety shoes. Paul is now ready to proceed to the rooftop. We will see that there are several ways to access a roof. For example, via a ladder, a staircase, a rope or a lift. If you are using a ladder, it is important to secure it before bringing up the robot. Once you have secured your access, you will need to take some time to analyze the installation, the inclination, the access to the water, and especially the degree of soiling. Depending on the degree and type of soiling, you will have to choose certain types of brushes: red, yellow, green or blue. For bird droppings, pictured above left, you can combine a green brush with a red one. For dry cleaning, photo top right, combination blue-blue or yellow-blue. For the middle photo, standard dirt, a yellow-yellow combination, and for factory roofs or farm roofs, you can combine a green with a yellow one. The safety of the operator is of the utmost importance, so remember to always make sure you hold on to the lifeline if one is present. Paul is now ready to bring up the different parts of the robot. The first part is the chassis. There are two ways to transport it by hand, either by having one hand under the traction motors or by having one hand under the tracks. The robot is composed of 5 parts, so you can bring the frame, followed by the central box, the 2 brushes and the cover, plus camera accessories if necessary. In this first case, you have the possibility to access the installation using the ladder. This is not always the case. It is also possible to bring the various robot elements by means of a rope. It is important to make sure that each element is well attached. You are now ready to lower the 5 elements of the robot and the hose. Sometimes you will be lucky enough to have direct access to the installation via a simple staircase. It is important to find out the width of the stairs beforehand to be sure that every part of the robot will pass. Again, attach to the lifeline as soon as possible to secure the operator. We have just seen in these cases that the robot is very easily transportable by hand, which is very useful when access to the installation is difficult. However, if your operator does not wish to carry these various elements, there is also the possibility of using a lifting machine. As a reminder, the robot is equipped with metal hooks, as you can see on the arrow. This allows you to transport and lift the robot without any problem. Now it's time to explain how to assemble the 5 parts of the robot. First of all, with your chassis being on the installation already, you will be able to bring the second part, which is the central electric box. For information, the electric box of this central part must be on the side of the traction motors and the battery on the other side. Now you have to connect the 2 traction motors with the central box. All you have to do is connect the cables of the same color, green with green, etc. Always align the screws of the connectors, then the blue with the blue, and again align both screws before connecting. Be careful never to force the connectors together, as this may damage the pins inside the connectors. Part 1. Chassis is now connected with Part 2, the central box. For information, if your battery is already installed on your Part 2, this battery is not fixed to the unit, so be careful when you transport your central box that the battery does not fall out. Now it remains to fix parts 3 and 4, the 2 brushes. Take a brush, put the brush down, lift the brush, put it on its attachment, and then lift the brush that falls between the 2 attachments. Then close the clips on the brush. Connect the brush motor with the central box by always following the color code and by aligning the screws. Then you can connect the water by simply connecting the small hose. Then we can connect the second brush. Place the brush on the panel, place the brush on the attachment, lift the brush, close the clips and connect the water. Connect the motor with the central box and always align screws, close the clips. Now there's the last part, the hood. You can see that the hood is fixed with a simple magnetic system. If your hood does not fit perfectly, it means that some of your cables are misplaced. Again, never use any force on any parts of the robot. You can then turn the robot arm to close the battery access hatch. Now your robot is ready. Before bringing water to the robot, we advise you to check that the robot is working perfectly. Take the remote control, attach the remote control belt to your waist, you can adjust the belt size if necessary. The robot must now be switched on, the blue light button. Turn and unlock the stop button on the remote control. When starting the robot, the water position must always be turned to off, otherwise the robot will not start. Push the lower right button forward for 2 seconds to make the connection between the remote control and the robot. Push a second time forward to confirm the connection. You can also see the percentage of the battery remaining. Then you can move the robot in one direction. If I change the drive, the position of the joystick doesn't change, but the robot drives in the other direction. This saves you from having to drive the robot in reverse. Brushes. One brush, one way, I can stop it and go the other way. The other brush, in one direction, I can stop it and go in the other direction. It is very important to stop the engine before changing the direction of the brushes. You can then rotate both brushes at the same time, stop them, and change the direction. Your robot is now ready to use. Note that the 3 buttons are oriented in the same direction. This makes it possible when you are far from the robot to know in which direction you have to rotate the brushes to clean. The last step is to bring water to the robot. It is very important before any cleaning to find out where the water access is located. You will need to find out how long of a hose you need and if a pump will be necessary. Don't forget to bring a set of appropriate adapters for all types of taps. We recommend working with a hose with a diameter of 13 to 15 millimeters or 0.5 inches per 50 meters or 164 feet. Your robot is now connected to the water and ready to start cleaning. Obviously, every installation is different, but in most cases, we advise you to follow the following cleaning method. First, clean the sides, steps 1, 2, and 3, and then clean the central part horizontally from top to bottom in order to continuously bring the dirt down. Step 4. In real life, this is what it looks like. So you start with step 1, cleaning the sides, the first 2 rows. When you have to climb upwards with the robot, you can use the brushes to support the robot climb faster. So, as you can see in this video, the robot climbs and the brushes rotate clockwise, helping the robot go up without cleaning. Now, since you always clean from the top down, the robot can start cleaning. When cleaning, the brushes must continuously push the water and dirt forward. And then you clean the second line. We can now move on to step 2, cleaning the top end of your installation. You should always check that the brushes always turn counter the driving direction to push water and dirt forward. For steps 1, 2 and 3, it is not necessary to change the direction of the brushes. Depending on the degree of soiling, you can adjust the speed of the robot to make only one pass. Once step 2 is completed, we will be able to repeat step 1 but on the other side. This will be step 3. So you clean a first line, and then clean a second line. With your both extremities on the roof cleaned, we can move on to the last step, step 4. During this step, if you notice that some areas are still dirty, you should make a second pass with the robot. For your information, it is obvious that cleaning techniques can vary if you are working on a ground mount plant, on floating panels, or on smart trackers. So don't hesitate to ask the SolarCleano team for more advice. When you reach the end of the line, it is important to make the brush protrude over the edge to remove all the dirt. Once you have almost finished step 4, you will arrive on the last line. For safety reasons, we advise you to reduce the speed of your robot on this last line. When you reach the end of this last line, it is important to move to the next position so that you always start again from the top. This will make the robot much easier to maneuver. The back brush should be slightly elevated in a diagonal position. When you put the robot in reverse, the back brush then becomes the front brush. Now, here are some interesting techniques that will help you work more efficiently. When you have to move from one line to the other, you will have to make an S move. The S is done in the following way, as you can see on the remote control. You make a left diagonal with your joystick, and then you go through the middle and make a right diagonal to straighten your robot. Here's a second view. If the slope is steep, use your application to check it. Test the robot on the panel vertically and horizontally before climbing to the ridge. When working on installations with a high inclination, you will have to drive diagonally, as we can see on the remote control. What happens when your robot's battery runs out? In this case, the red light on the remote control will start flashing, then the battery needs to be changed. To do this, switch off the robot, open the battery hatch, disconnect the battery, remove the hose from the water and remove the battery and replace it with a newly charged one. Therefore, it is important to charge your batteries before starting to clean. So reconnect the battery, the water, and you are ready to clean again. So indeed, you can change your battery in seconds. Another important point is controlling the height of the brushes. The dirtier the installation, the lower the brushes should be operating. This is easily adjustable, as we can see in this video. Remember that for some installations where visibility is difficult for the operator, there is always the possibility to use the camera, with the operator having the screen on his remote control to safely drive the robot. Another important point is the management of the hose during cleaning. On this video, we can see how Paul manages both the hose and the remote control. This confirms the fact that only one operator is needed to operate the robot. Once the cleaning is completed, your equipment must also be maintained. This starts by cleaning your robot while checking the various wiring, connections and cable glands to make sure that nothing has been damaged. Just a reminder, when you roll up your hose, try to hold it up high so that the hose empties of its water. Now it's time to put all the robot parts away. The chassis, the central box, the hood, the hose and the two brushes. In order to prepare for the next cleaning, don't forget to charge your batteries, robot, remote control and camera batteries. How to charge your robot's batteries? You connect your charger to the battery and then plug the other end into the wall. On these arrows you can see how to connect the two cables, always without ever forcing anything. When the battery and the connector are connected, the light indicates the battery level. If red, the battery is empty. If green, the battery is full. You can then plug the charger into a simple 220 volt outlet and the venting sound will confirm that the battery is charging. These procedures are exactly the same for the larger batteries. It is important to really follow these steps one by one, connecting the battery to the charger and only then connect the charger to the socket. Once all this is done, it's time to put your robot away. First of all, your brushes. It is important to never ever store your brushes on the bristles, as this will flatten them. So there are two ways to place your brushes. Then, very important, your chassis. When you finish cleaning, you must make sure that the tracks are laid flat on the floor. Indeed, by doing this, the water will stagnate and this will damage your tracks. You can see here that thanks to a simple support beneath the robot, the tracks are not in contact with the ground. A second possibility is to position your chassis this way. You can then attach the last elements to it. Never leave your SolarCleano robot in direct sunlight for long lengths of time. Always store with its cover on and in a shaded, dry place. It is obvious that each cleaner will have their own way of storing the robot and arranging their van. We are only offering some helpful advice. The SolarCleano team remains at your disposal for any further questions.